Hello, GDQ submission staff. My name is DE Cosmic,
And I am Avukamu.
and this is the Resident Evil 6 new game co-op run for the Jake and Sherry campaign. And Resident Evil 6 is a little bit of a departure from the rest of the series. It's a lot more action oriented. I should say. I was going to initially say a little more action oriented, but it's a lot more action oriented. There's really not a whole lot of horror going on in here. We're going to be running and gunning through a lot of sections. So let's get right into it here. And Kavu, I'll give you the IGT sync up here for the videos.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I like Ada.
So if you want to go over a little bit of the context of this this plot here as we begin.
Okay, yeah. So casually, Jake and Sherry is not the first campaign you should be doing because it explains a little bit of the backstory, what's going on behind the scenes. But pretty much, Jake is a mercenary. He's currently in Eastern Europe, the country called Edonia. His platoon got ambushed, so they took a bunch of vitamin boosters because, you know, plot logic. He's the only one that doesn't mutate, and from there, Sherry Birkin, NSA agent, is here to retrieve him for unknown purposes. The main enemies in this game are called Javo, which is Serbian for devil. So kudos to the makers of this game picking up on that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We're curious to know why, why is Sherry trying to rescue Jake, and who is he at this point?
Exactly. A lot of these beginning sections, especially for most of the campaigns, this is true in Resident Evil 6. There's just a whole lot of running to get to, the meat of the campaign, get to a lot of the mandatory fights. So a whole lot of these sections in the beginning here are going to be just proper movement, making sure that we understand where to cut our corners and, do the proper co-op prompts, such as the doors coming up here. You'll see there was one a little bit earlier where both players have to interact with it. And worth noting here, I believe in this next room, now we don't grab the item boxes here, but the red herb there, all the drops in this game for items and weapons are client side, which is a bit of a departure from Resident Evil 5 where the drops are shared between, both players. So when one player picks up a weapon in the world, the other player can still pick it up. So it's only really worth it to break some boxes in this case, in this game, because we're both guaranteed to get the same thing, and we don't want to waste a lot of time trying to search the more random drops in some of the other barrels or boxes.
And these are boxes usually before bosses to assist you in the casual playthrough, just so you have ammo for whatever gun you might need.
Correct. And so here, when we do this split and we get to the ladder, Jake is going to drop me as Jake is going to drop the ladder. Then I'm going to, interact with it improperly, and then I'm going to walk back down the ladder and go and grab Kamu as Sherry for a co-op prompt. There's a lot of, splitting up of tasks that we do throughout this run, whether or not it's really mandated by the design of the game, just to make things a little bit more efficient. Whereas in the solo run, the player character has to do pretty much everything on their own. But in co-op, we can sort of divvy up the tasks that we got to do, including DPS, in order to make some things easier.
And compared to Resident Evil 5, the co-op actions in Resident Evil 6 are a lot more fluid and a lot less forced. So, you can tell that the studio really focused on this aspect of it.
Yeah, there's even like this section here where Jake lifts Sherry up to the balcony above, and then she kicks down a bar for him to swing across on his, his Prince of Persia joint. There's also, like, notably a couple of different routes that both characters sometimes have to take throughout the levels. Like right here, Sherry gets to the co-op door, as we're going to call him throughout the course of the video. She just goes right to it, whereas Jake has to sort of be chased by this helicopter.
Yeah, during this split, I have 2 level 1 mobs to fight, and Jake has an Apache helicopter run by the world's foremost anti-terrorist organization, so he has it a little bit harder than me.
Fortunately for Jake, those guys can't hit the broadside of a Javo, so... And I think this is where we're going to actually introduce the Nemesis of this campaign, so to speak, or the
Antagonist.
Yeah, the Mr. X or the nemesis of this campaign. His name is Ustanok. I believe this is it. Yeah, Ustanok. And Ustanok is, I don't really even know how to explain this man. He is sort of an evolved version, I believe, of Tyrant.
Mm-hmm.
That's true, yeah. And he has a giant metal hand, and he just chases after Jake and Sherry this entire campaign. We're going to be seeing a lot of him.
And this is one of the game's first actions of split action, QT as I like to call them, where one of us is at the mercy of the other person's decisiveness or indecisiveness to react to save the other.
Fortunately, that's just a sort of running section away from him. We don't have to fight him yet, but we are coming up soon.
Okay,
right
so
here. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this fight is Usanok 1. They give you the Magnum called the Elephant Killer very early into this campaign. It is a very strong gun, and we fight a lot of bosses in the beginning. So casually, I think they'd expect you to use the Magnum on the bosses. We used to route in the pickup for the Magnum, at least, going out of our way for it because we thought it would help. So pretty much what we used to do is, you seen those remote mines we pick up, we would place them in front of the spot where Usanok would charge into, blow them up, shoot a bunch of Magnum rounds into him, and kill him that way. But since we discovered we detonated those bombs when he was invincible, it did no damage. So we also figured out that, you know, we don't need to pick up the Magnum. We just need to blow him up once and actually land one round of melee attacks from the both of us to end this boss fight. So right now you can see that we're waiting a little bit for him to break out of his iframes. Cosmic will charge up his melee attack. I'll bring out my electric stun rod, and after a quick burst, that should be the fight.
He's down. I should note that Jake's hand-to-hand in this game is extremely strong. And it's
ridiculously strong.
Yeah, it's very beneficial throughout the campaign to sort of have the burst that he does from his hand-to-hand. In a pinch where you sort of want to save on ammo otherwise. And, you know, a lot of the... Speaking about, you know, routing, I do want to give a shout-out to Solus Persona, who... we took a lot of the current routing from, because this game is not really one of the more popular Resident Evils to run, so a lot of the routing isn't really set in stone. It's a little bit more flexible, but, you know, I just wanted to give a shout out to Solus Persona for the work that they have done on this game. It's been really helpful in learning it.
A lot of the routing is non-existent, and we pretty much take a lot of our stuff from, you know, the solo runs run by 4 or 5 other people.
Oh yeah, this next part here, can be a pretty big run killer reset point. There's 3 turrets that we have to protect and escort NPCs to. There's 2 Gigantes that we also have to fight. If you played RE4, it's those big dudes in that game as well. They reappear in this one. And you know, we got a bone to pick with them. So while one of us is clearing the path here with the smaller enemies, this is my job during this split. To sort of keep the smaller enemies off of Camus while he's dealing with the Gigante.
Yeah, and this is the first time where campaigns coincide. While this is our Chapter 1, Section 4, this is actually Pierce and Chris's, I believe, sometime in their Chapter 2. And you think with the various heroes and heroines competing in the same chapter, you think this part would be a little bit easier, but in fact the AIs often get in the way of us, as I'm sure you'll be able to see in this run. So this first Gigante takes about normally 2 QTEs to kill, but because the AI Chris and Piers didn't shoot him enough, I actually made the mistake of not going for his 3rd weak point. So this loses us just a little bit of time, as the man planning the bomb says, you know, hey, I'll help you shoot the Gigante instead of planning the time scripted bomb, which is unfortunate, but it's part of the game. And as Cosm said before, this is usually the run killer because of a mechanic coming up.
Yeah, and normally we kill the first Gigante here on this first turret instead of waiting to kill him at the 2nd turret location, just so that The second turret is a lot more stress-free. It's pretty much a free capture at that point. You know, minus a few normal enemies that we encounter, but the spawns aren't overwhelming enough there where we really need to waste a lot of ammo. So Kamu and I just, you know, end up using our melee attacks during that section to take them out. But that's coming out up here in a little bit.
Yeah, and the Gigante's going to drop our first big drop of skill points, and in a new game run, we will be utilizing these skill points very aggressively, as we don't get a lot during the speed run. Casually, you might be able to upgrade a lot of stuff. You might be able to upgrade your ammo drops, your handgun damage, but at this point, we need all the pickups we can get, just a tiny bit to help us. But a lot of this game, like the ammo pickups in this game, a lot of the skill points pickups are RNG. So the ones that are guaranteed, like the ones off this Gigante, we definitely want to pick up so we're able to upgrade a little bit of our firepower, hopefully later into the run. The earlier the better, but less RNG.
Yeah, it's usually one of those things where, like I was saying, you know, a lot of the, and like Conwo just mentioned, a lot of the barrels and stuff are RNG, so really you don't want to spend too much time scouring for ammo, because you may just get a bunch of skill points, and the skill points that the larger enemies will drop, like the Gigante, you know, it's in like the 2,000 to 5,000 range, and that can add up pretty quickly in order to enable you to buy a bunch of skills, or at least a couple strong ones that we're really looking for, like Javo Killer. But
yeah,
the RNG ones that will drop from barrels and stuff, they're really only like 50 to 100 skill points each, and in the long run, that's the amount of time that you can spend picking them up is not going to offset the time loss at all.
The Gigantes drop 2,000 each, so there will be 2 Gigantes we kill in this chapter. That's 4,000. And Javo Killer is a buff that makes us instant kill Javo with a higher chance of them not spawning Plagas. And with the section of this game being kill-based as opposed to time-based, we definitely want that as soon as possible. I think there's also another requirement to get Javo Killer. I think it's we have to kill 30, a certain number.
Kill 30 Javos, yeah. Kill 30 Javos.
But killing those 2 Gigantes and picking up their skill points just immensely sets us up financially for the rest of the run.
In this part right here, we're just sort of suplexing and tossing some zombies around like God intended.
And we're trying not to use too much of our ammo here, because this is a big part of the game too, is, like we said, it's client-based. The ammo pickup is super RNG, so sometimes at this point of the run, we'll have picked up 30 rounds of Magnum bullets, and other times we'll have, you know, 7 handgun bullets like I have right now.
Nothing. Yeah, nothing. It can really alter the pace of runs sometimes, and it's still kind of something that we're really working out to see, you know, sort of what the potential time is if we were to get, you know, optimal ammo drops sort of throughout the rest of the game. It can be really rough though sometimes when you're sort of forced to use a certain type of ammo to make one fight quicker, and then your run suffers later on because of it.
I mean, who needs guns when you have Jake's fist? Am I right?
It's true, but it doesn't unfortunately outweigh the Elephant Killer. So this right here, this is a fundamental of running the co-op series of Resident Evil that's sort of carried over from Resident Evil 5, which is checkpoint abuse. And right here, Kamu's going to run ahead to the checkpoint while I'm going to grab some of these barrels here, see if I can't get a little bit of extra ammo. Maybe a little bit extra skill points might do me something good. But once he hits the checkpoint here, and he'll probably call for it, I can't remember if he called for it in this run in particular, I'm going to actually reset the checkpoint, and it will bring the AI to us, and so then we'll be able to just, you know, move forward with the rest of the section instead of having to wait on the AI to get to the door here and then, you know, continue onward. Here, you know, we see the checkpoint reset, boom, everybody's in place. We can just move forward with killing the Gigante.
That's crazy. That's
Yeah, this third Gigante, we talked about earlier, this part being the reset point, and it pretty much is just this last Gigante. So what we want to do is we want to kill this last Gigante before the final turret gets blown up, because otherwise there will be a scene where the BSAA say, hey, we can't land, you need to kill the Gigante, you need to expose its weak spot, and then there will be this actual cutscene where they carpet bomb the Gigante, and this loses about a good 20 to 30 seconds. There's also another quick way to destroy the final turret, which is very high risk, low reward. And pretty much what you want to do is you want to bait the Gigante to the final turret. And while he's swinging at you, you want to dodge and have his punch model connect with the turret model. But oftentimes this does not work because the Gigante has multiple attack patterns and you need to specifically wait for either his punch or his kick, which is a 50% chance already as it is. And the other thing is the AI, because the Gigante is so close to the turret, will say, hey, you know what, I'm going to stop planting this mine and help you with this Gigante, which you seem to be having so much trouble on.
That's what I said. I fell into
So I think you'd lose your run here if you go for it and fail, if not a couple of minutes. And if you get it right, you save up a little less than 30 seconds, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, definitely one of those things that you kind of only go for if you're ready to start, you know, resetting about 15-20 minutes into the run. Otherwise, you know, we kind of just play it safe here, decide to just take it out normally. And here you can actually see me doing something called recoil canceling, which is where you can switch off of a gun that you just fired and then switch back to it in order to cancel the recoil or the firing time. And this allows you to dump very, very heavy DPS into enemies later on in the game. I'm sort of spacing out my shots here just to make sure that I hit the Gigante on its weak point. Otherwise, you know, I don't want the bullets from the Magnum to go flying wildly too far because those bullets are worth quite a lot. And if I miss them, then not only have I lost the bullet, but the Gigante has a lot of health, so I really just want to make sure that I don't fire too quickly. But it's still important to remember to reload cancel or recoil cancel in those cases.
And timing-wise for both of these events, the turret blowing up and the Gigante dying is actually perfect in this run. So because there's not too much of a delay between the cutscenes. Pretty much the announcer says, hey, the BSA is going to land, and instantly goes to the final cutscene before we get on to the chopper that the BSA has provided for us in order to escape the country. So that's probably the end of Resident Evil 6, assuming nothing goes wrong.
But we don't assume anything in these games. Nothing ever goes right, man.
Hey, it's a speedrun, you never know. It could be a 16-minute campaign.
Secret ending.
But anyway, this next part here is a bit of a nice break from the heavy reset point. Like I said before, we're being escorted out of Edonia when Super Mr. X Ustanak is ambushing us with a bunch of Neo Umbrella helicopters. So pretty much what this section is, he's going to break in on multiple sections of the helicopters. We just got to shoot him a couple of times, not get hit. Before we, right here, jump onto the second helicopter, we're going to have to shoot him down using heavy ammunition means.
Yeah. This is another co-op section, and this is, yeah, like Kamu said, it's just really scripted. There's really nothing about this section that's too complex to explain. It's a lot of just making sure that you pay attention to the QTEs as well as aim down the sights on the turrets here that we're going to see in a few seconds. Kamu's already on his turret, as you can see in his video.
So this turret bit actually, and there are multiple ways to handle this. In the difficulty mode we're playing it, because Ustanak has so little HP, we just want to be shooting him non-stop. Ustanak's attack pattern is he'll shoot at one turret for about 5 seconds and then shoot at the other turret for another 5 seconds. But in the other difficulties, we might have to shoot down the other helicopters to crash into the main helicopter, or in New Game Plus where you have infinite ammo, we don't get on the turrets at all and often just magnum them to death, since the magnum shots are so strong. Here, as you can see, that was Ustanak 2, as we call it, and unfortunately, our helicopter is going down, hopefully in a nice tropical place.
Oh, if only we were so lucky.
If only we fought on the beaches.
And then right here, we're going to kind of assess our inventories and make sure that, see if we've got enough to buy anything. And we usually don't have enough to buy a lot of skills until a couple of chapters in. So really that menuing there is just going to be free. Just kind of skip on through it. And then we get to the crash site of the helicopter. And we're in the snowy wilderness. And I'll be the first to say this, the vision obscure, like the way that this section obscures your vision, definitely leaves you feeling a little bit uneasy sometimes, especially when you're trying to navigate to get the goals here. Because what we've got to do here is pick up 3 drives, and then we got to take them over to a cabin, over yonder. We also pick up the sniper rifle here as well. And what we're going to do here is, in order to make this a little bit more efficient, is we're going to kind of split up the task of grabbing these drives. So Kamu is going to grab the 2 drives in the distance that are pretty far away, and I'm going to grab the closest one, or, well, not yet. I'm going to grab that last, and I'm going to kind of sort of just camp out on it until then, take down a few enemies with me. And once Kamu is finished grabbing the other 2 drives, I'm going to grab the 3rd one, and then immediately reset the checkpoint, which is going to bring Kamu to me.
This part's a lot easier done on co-op because on casual, the AI follows you all around. So there is a reset, but you still have to do pretty much all the movement yourself. But this part of the game casually, I remember it taking me a good 20-30 minutes just to do this section because the mountains are so vast. There are set paths you have to go that you can't go. I think it's almost infinite enemy spawns. There are a lot for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can see here me here running. It's important not to get hit on that hill because if I get hit on that hill, it's ice. I will get stunned and slip all the way down to the bottom. And that hill didn't seem too long, but that is with all the animations, that is a 20-second, 30-second time loss every time you fall down.
Yeah, this could definitely be like, I could definitely see this being a reset point if you mess it up.
And Sherry, I'll note really early, so I don't have to mention it too much later. I'll remind people, but Sherry takes double the damage Jake takes, which is weird because spoilers. Since she has the G virus, you'd think she'd be some sort of superhuman, Wolverine type. But that's in-game logic to cutscene logic for you. And here I'll pick up the 2nd key, which I'll tell Cosmic to pick up the 3rd key. We'll reset abuse and magically teleport back to him.
Yeah, the similar to RE5. In this game, when the game is saving a checkpoint, you can't actually open the pause menu. So here, I just mash escape so that once that it's done, like immediately, I can open up the pause menu, and then reset the checkpoint. And then we're gonna head over to the cabin. This is the shortest way to get to the cabin, and the cabin is based on kills. And unfortunately, it's not as hard as RE4 because that's a nice tense moment in the run there, the cabin, and but it is easier than RE3 Remake's cabin. So there's at least that. There's gonna be no hunters coming after us or anything. It's just gonna be some regular old Javo.
It's such an odd thing to hear because I think casually, if you think about both cabin scenarios, RE3's cabin, you're like, oh, I'm being swarmed by zombies. But in the speedrunner's perspective, the RE3's hospital cabin. We're just like, oh, this is so relaxing. This is a break from all the running. We just kind of kill zombies. But this, like Cosmic said, is even easier than that. I think there are 5 enemies outside, followed by a cycle of maybe 2 or 3 enemies inside, and followed by 1 or 2 more outside. But the important part here is we want to get that headshot on many of them as opposed to a limb shot because we don't want to waste time to them transforming into the mutated Javo. There was one Javo earlier that mutated into the
head mutation.
This head mutation, yeah, the centipede head mutation. Which, fun fact, can one-hit kill on the higher difficulties.
Super fun. It's very fun to play against.
So compared to a lot of other Resident Evil games, I think this game requires you to land those critical hits more on the head because you definitely don't want enemies turning into the parasitic versions of themselves. Whereas opposed to a lot of other Resident Evils, you generally just want to run past them and or just dump enough bullets in them. But because, like we said, bullets in this run are so RNG based, we want to land those critical shots when we have to.
Yeah.
And this bit right here is our favorite bit.
Yeah. Really quickly, I do want to say that this game definitely rewards you a lot for engaging in the third-person shooter aspects of it. You're really rewarded very well for good aim and good management of your ammo and stuff. But yeah, this section. So this, surprisingly, there's a lot of time saved for us still on this section. because you can see me getting hit by these trees here. This section can definitely be a bit of a hassle co-op-wise because Jake is, you're going to see here, even though I get hit by a few trees and that slows me down significantly, I'm still going to be able to catch up to Kamu. And this is because Jake, his snowmobile is much faster than Sherry's. And when we reach this tunnel here and we get out of here, there's going to be a bunch of falling snow around us and, you know, a bunch of avalanches and stuff. And because Jake is so much faster and I'm progressing the level at a greater pace, you know, these trails are a little bit finicky, it can cause both players to really just die for seemingly no reason.
Because the snow gets triggered on the first person who gets to the checkpoint. But oftentimes, if we're too far apart by that time we hit the cave right there, I'll call for a reset. Which we probably should have done, considering how far back behind him I am. But, you know, you'll see a couple of deaths. You know, we try to skip past them as much as possible.
We should probably just take the opportunity to talk about how we decided to actually do this run together. I believe we met in Waifu's chat. You know, shout out to Waifu.
Big shout out to Waifu.
And I don't remember if it was myself or you that really joked about doing this first. But one of us joked about doing Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil 6 speedruns, and then you ended up messaging me and saying, you know what, dude, I'm down if you're down. And
I'm half unironically down.
Yeah, I'm half unironically down. So we started Resident Evil 5, and we ended up moving on to this game a little bit to do more of this, and we've actually had like a ton of fun with it, just because of how fast-paced it can be, despite sections like this that might seem contrary to that.
Like I said, we're speedrunners, not speed riders of snowmobiles.
Yeah, once we're not on foot, it's anybody's game.
Yeah, but yeah, Cosmic and I ran Resident Evil 5 for a while. That is also a really great, fun co-op game and a single-player game. I would recommend anyone check that out if you haven't and are curious. Both Resident Evil 5 and 6 have a kind of a lot of negative controversy around them from the older fan base, but I think they're really both fun games. Speedrunning casually, just, you know, in the culture today, everyone can hate about anything
Yeah. It's cool to hate on this game, but we're not going to do that because we're not about that. We're here to talk about how good it is.
I think we both discovered, because we both started running both 5 and 6 kind of half ironically, and then after we played it a few times, we're like, hey, this game's actually kind of fun.
I mean, I liked these games. I liked these games a lot before I did this, and I think I've just gained more appreciation for them as a result. But moving on from that, this is a section that is supposed to be stealthed. Because Ustanok over there, you know, we don't want to alert him. Otherwise, you have to hide in these dumpsters, or he can instant kill you. But these bugs are what is going to alert him, or going to alert him to our presence, as well as, you know, any loud noises that we might make. But because we're speedrunning, when I take out the first bug, Kamu was going to shoot the second, but then I'm going to run straight ahead here to activate the checkpoint, and then I'm going to immediately checkpoint reset. And not only is this going to bring us back here and we're going to be stealthed again, it's going to also reset the cycle on these bugs here. And then we're just going to kind of move through this area again. Kamu, if you want to go over how this is done in solo runs.
Oh, yeah. So in solo runs, so I should preface this by saying this run done solo, people normally run Jake. I've tried running it in Sherry, but Jake is a lot faster because he is stronger and has more HP. But pretty much whenever Usanok is alerted, the AI will run back as opposed to go to the closest shelter. And to get the checkpoint, you need both players to cross the next threshold, which we abuse here. So oftentimes, it's very annoying. You know, you have to play a safer route. You can't be as cautious. And oftentimes you have to wait for the AI. It's less than ideal, but hey, it's part of the game.
Yeah. I mean, at least it's abusable in co-op. This section here especially, I think, is definitely a sign that the game was designed with, you know, another person being there in mind. And the co-op runs just get so much more, so much faster because of those little things.
Oh yeah, And so there's normally, casually, there's a platform on the left where one of us is going to have to kind of be the map/guide for this maze, but, you know, we're speedrunners. We don't need the maps. We'll alert the bugs. And the nice thing here is that we're just quick enough to actually run to the door, open it, and get through it to de-aggro the stealth part of the section and enable the next phase of this chapter.
This is going to be another running section similar to what we saw in the first chapter of the game. The only difference really is that we're going to have to slide at the very end of it. These sections really are just there, I think, to sort of create the imposing figure of Ustanok and sort of emphasize how intent he is on killing both of these characters.
So this running actually seems straightforward, but you do not want to collide into the wall. You have to... It's not too much camera manipulation and movement manipulation, but very you'll see a lot of odd camera angles that are kind of a throwback to the original Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3 series, where you have to move along with the fixed camera angle. And, you know, you say this part is, well, it's not too bad. You're just holding down and sprinting. Well, I'm pretty sure most people who have played this game have died at that point. We have died to Ustanok many times there, either running into a wall or forgetting to slide at the end.
Yeah.
I'll just go with
this part right here, I have to just pick up some remote mines here after putting, like, lifting Kamo up there on that ledge, and then I have to activate this remote mine, and that's going to actually aggro Ustanok. And it's going to allow Kamo to jump down. You're not going to see it on my screen, but you will see it on his. He's going to jump down and get this key card that's on a body.
And normally you want to be super sneaky about this, like we're doing right now. I pick up the key super sneaky. But it doesn't matter, you know. I'm going to try to get to the cutscene before Ustanok gets to me. I mean, I've yet to die here. So the cutscene activates right here, and welcome to another de-aggro of stealth cutscene abuse.
Boom. The unfortunate thing about this section here is that whenever one character closes the doors here, it resets both players. So we unfortunately can't optimize this any further than just running from door to door and one person opens it and then the next person goes through, etc., etc.
I mean, casually, I think the only way you die on this part is you're surprised by how many doors you have to go through. But all this is you just gotta run to the next door, open it before Ustanok gets there, and as long as you don't fail the same scripted QTE 5 times in a row, you should be fine. This next upcoming bit is, well, I call it Ustanok 3. I don't know if Cosmic will call it a boss fight, but it's one of the most intense boss fights for me because we have to be pressing certain buttons at a certain time called Quick Time Event now. But this fight is just cute. This fight is just QTEs. Pretty much what we're gonna do is power up the drill, run at Ustanok a couple of times before we impale him to the other side of the wall.
At the very least, this this fight or QTE sequence here is very very cool to see. There's a lot of nice spectacle here as you're ramming this drill straight into this giant tyrant. Not sure what's up with that animation of Jake just, you know, rearing up forward in the passenger seat though.
Hey, he's excited. He's like, boss fights don't get any easier than this.
Yeah, you should just undo it.
Like, it's always curious to see the inconsistencies, I think, of like Resident Evil's each game's tyrant. You know, sometimes they survive explosions, and sometimes they just get done in by a diesel-powered drill machine. You know.
Yeah. Well, I guess nobody could ever say he's boring. Get it? Anyway, so
I might need to find a new co-op partner. But anyway, I'll tap out of there. The timer on my end's a bit messed up here, which would explain the 9-minute time save. But I fixed the timer here. It's more accurate starting from this point. But yeah, that is chapter 2 in Adonia.
So what's your 2-1?
And what happens is we pretty much get captured by Ada and her goons.
I think, yeah, this is another just sort of free menu here, I believe. I don't think we have enough. I don't think we have enough points to buy here either. Unfortunately, unfortunately in this video is we sort of had to sort out something that was going on Kama's end with the splits and how the auto splitter was working.
We should. I'm just gonna. Yeah, you can see me. I'll tab out of here and just messing with the timer. The reason we could spend so much time on these menus is because the in-game time doesn't run, which is what this category is measured by, in-game time as opposed to real time.
Yeah.
So honestly, we could go out, catch a steak dinner, talk about our lives, and come back to this bit, and it would still be a valid run. I'm sure the moderators wouldn't appreciate it.
Probably not. Oh, I did pick up Javo Killer here, so I thought I was going to be picking it up Chapter 4, so I must have gotten a lot of good pickups there. Oh yeah, so here we are. We get captured.
So this bit is we get captured by Ada and her goons. Surprise, they're Chinese, and this is a big time skip in the game super casually. I think a couple of months, weeks go by where they test out the viruses in both of our bodies. But for me, I'm just standing here. Cosmic is beating up a bunch of guys to get the key, and this will trigger the scene for our escape.
Yep, let me know, fam. And then this is going to be another checkpoint abuse here that Kama's going to call for.
Mm-hmm. So basically, I need the checkpoint abuse there because I don't know what cycle the enemies are on, but by resetting the checkpoint, we'll reset the enemy cycles. And you can see here, I am just casually running by all the enemies just behind them so that they're unable to detect me.
On the flip side, on my screen, I'm running by all the enemies still, but they're very aggressive right now.
Mm-hmm. So this next bit is a fun part of the run casually if you've never looked at a strategy guide or how to do this. So pretty much I'm going to be following behind a Javo and seeing the code he puts into the screen. Now normally what you want to do casually in this run is beat all the enemies in the area and or sneak past them, but the first is more likely, and then hide in the locker right behind the code and wait for an enemy to come and put in the code. But because of how fast we want to do this section and the time we don't want to waste, I will put the code that Java put in, and I will communicate the code to Jake because it is the exact same code, and I need the code, and we both need the code to proceed to the next section. I'm going to wait a little bit here because Jake, Cosmic and his part, needs to get on a turret, shoot these guys for me. We'll communicate that when he's starting to shoot them, and at this point, I can run to the second door with the code, which is the exact same code as the first one. And that's this relatively short section complete, where we'll have a little awkward locker room scene.
Oh. Oh, hey.
You ever notice how it's been a long time since they ever did anything, but their hairs haven't gone any longer? Like,
yeah,
you guys give them haircuts. While...
Yeah, I guess so. There's some very nice captors. Oh yeah, you're best probably explaining this section here. The 10 medallions, yeah.
The 10 medallions. So in this run, if you've ever done it casually, you probably 100% cleared all the enemies in this area. There are 10 medallions we're going to have to put in a giant Buddha statue. 3 to activate one area, and the other 7 to enable the next phase of the chapter, so to say. I think there are 15 to 20 actual total medallions, so we opted to route in the 10 most efficient medallions. You'll see Cosmic on his screen. He'll have killed a set guy who will have the medallion. But it's very important that he kills him from behind, otherwise he will spawn into a Velociraptor-looking thing, run away, and we have to chase him. He'll be going to a bedroom. I will be killing another scripted guy to pick up the medallion. It's important that we kill these medallions really early on, because the first 4 or 5 medallions we can get from the first area, but we need the 3 medallions to put into the Buddha statue here that I am putting coins into right now, to open up the second area where the rest of the medallions will be. And what this medallion gathering pretty much is we'll be splitting up in terms of efficiencies of how fast we can gather medallions. And by the time the 10th person gets the last medallion, the second person will be just putting them in the machine and enabling the next bit.
Yeah, so that's a really good example. This section especially, I think, is one of the prime examples of how co-op runs can just be so much faster than solo runs because you're really able to split up with effective communication. You're really able to split up the tasks that are going on. So instead of one person having to go collect all the medallions and then put them into the machine, one person can collect 3, then they get put into the machine to activate the rest of the area, and then you can continue collecting them until you've got all 10.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that at this point, yeah, I'm going to be heading into this bath area to grab the second to last medallion while Kamu goes to grab the last one.
Well, I think I'm in some sort of tea room, picking up some extra grenades, some extra bullets. But at this point, when Cosmic picks up the last one, I'll be on my way or at the Buddha statue to put all of them in.
There we go.
And while I'm putting them in, he'll be running back towards me, and we can enable the next bit of the chapter.
I mean, now I can pretty much remember everything.
This whole area is like, it's a really cool area with a lot of like great places to fight enemies from too. It's a shame that we don't have to do more fighting here, but you know, it is what it is, I suppose.
So the Velociraptor type units I mentioned earlier, I do not like fighting against them because when you want to kill them, they start running away, and when you don't want to kill them, they run towards you and shoot a barrage of missiles. So we're waiting for this cutscene here. I think Cosmic's on his way as I get rid of this last guy.
I think I got hung up at the door.
Yeah, but this cutscene is actually one of the funniest bits for me because pretty much they say, hey, I think we're in China at this point. And as if you couldn't tell from the decorations, the giant Buddha statue, the Asian guy speaking Chinese, that you're in China. Well, now we've confirmed that we are officially in China.
I suppose they could think that they were at some facility or some ambassador building or something. But yeah, it would be kind of a stretch to think you're not in the country.
You could be in Chinatown, I suppose.
True. Be a very, very convincing Chinatown.
But this bit here, as you see, we tried to escape to the front door, but they have a giant tank. And rather than fighting the tank, despite both of us being superhumans with viruses in us, we're gonna opt for the easier route and run away from the tank. You cannot fight the tank, if I wasn't clear. You have to run away from it. So we'll be going through this door right here, which is kind of funny because you see the tank behind us shooting at us, but as soon as this cutscene happens, surprise, the tanks are there. Now it's probably a second tank,
Maybe.
but the way they just portray this tank boss, it seems like it's just one bad tank following you around.
It's just sentient, man.
Oh yeah. So this here is another example of the weird camera angle fixes that happen in the game, part of the run. But we get used to it. This next bit here is the garden bit, which pretty much, surprise, it's the exact same tank. This one probably is the same tank from the one that just chases us in the hallway. But in this bit, Jake has to go across a garden bit and activate 3 rotations of a Buddha statue. And each rotation involves the tank aiming at him and aggroing towards him. And the tank's model will collide into the statue, which will cause it to rotate. And he needs to do this 3 times. Meanwhile, me during this bit, I need to make sure I am out of the tank's way of aggro by staying in this small isolated room and fighting unexaggerated a million Java.
There's a lot of enemies in this area. It's really unfortunate that Sherry cannot go to the same areas that Jake can, because this area would be a lot safer if Sherry had access to the acrobatics that Jake does. Unfortunately, there have been times where we've been on this bit and Kamu's just gotten blasted by a lot of enemies at once, and it's like Jake can't really speed up how fast this section's gonna go very much. It's always 3 rotations, and you always have to wait on the tank's animations to finish before you can manipulate it correctly.
And it's particularly harder for me because I can't juke them around. I have to stay in the same room, otherwise the tank will register me and ruin the whole cycle for Jake and aggro to me. And you can see a lot of variations of Javo here. You see the giant hind legs, we call them grasshopper Javo. There's the headless Javos, and we have a giant one-armed Javos, but they do not make life easy, especially when you take double the damage as the main protagonist on the other screen there.
Yeah, and I hear I'm actually going to pick up a guaranteed Magnum ammo drop as well as some skill points from the suitcase here, and then we're going to activate the bike in order to get into the 4th chapter.
Fun fact, that car next to Jake is the one Leon drives for his campaign.
Hey, the crossover.
So that's the end of Chapter 3. I think this section feels a little bit short, but it's mostly because we know the routing of the medallions. So casually, a lot of these sections will seem much longer. But, you know, any game speedrunning, we make the developers feel a little bit silly.
Just a little bit. This is another... Yeah, I wasn't able to afford anything here. I don't know if on your screen you were able to afford any abilities.
Yeah, I just opt out for... I max out my inventory right now because I don't think... Because at this point, before this next chapter, which I'll explain a bit, we both definitely want Java Killer. So I just opted for Critical Hit, Java Killer, and Defense because I was running a little bit low. But this next bit... You know how there was a snowboarding section or a snowmobile section? Well, welcome to a motorbike section. So me here, or Jake's job here, Cosmic's job here, is to drive us to safety and not run into anything that could cause us to get us one-hit killed. My part here is to shoot at the enemies and the chopper that is behind us. But because this is the lowest difficulty option, the enemies cannot really do anything. So you see me here just spamming A, giving Cosmic the motivation he needs to get through this chapter.
Yeah, she's fist pumping, dude.
There are a couple scripted shooting scenes that I have to shoot the trigger.
Yeah, there's a few QTEs, as well as a few shooting prompts here in this section. Really, the big thing about this section really is just sort of remembering where each obstacle spawns in, because sometimes the draw distance in this section is a little bit deceiving. So you'll be moving forward, and you know something like an object will pop up, like a car, and you'll have to make a sharp turn to the left or right in order to avoid it, because otherwise, like Kamu mentioned, it's just a one-hit kill. There's very few things in this section that let you off the hook. Surprisingly, the Molotovs do not just do you in completely and totally. It's really just running into the cars. You can scrape the walls and you can scrape against other vehicles, but if you just so much as clip it, you know, at the wrong angle, it's just a one and done.
And unfortunately for a lot of the driving sections, I am looking behind me, so I have to pray that Cosmic is not going to run into anything.
I got you, man. It's good.
But the Molotovs and if a bike comes up to you, I know that a kick will one-hit kill you in the higher difficulty, the highest difficulty, and 2 Molotovs will kill you in the highest difficulty. So it's actually super important that Sherry kills everyone in this bit. And right here, Jake's gonna drive underneath Sherry. The usual heroics from Mr. Alpha Male here.
Action danger man, personified, dude.
And here's the first real section where you can see us just navigating through cars, and if we get hit by any of these, we will die. So that's the first section complete.
Yeah, just one more shooting prompt here as well as a QTE. Teamwork.
Excellent. Isn't it always super convenient how an oil tanker always seems to drive somebody when they're being chased by a giant helicopter?
A little bit, yeah, and it's always leaking in a very conspicuous way.
Mm-hmm. And there's a giant red box where it's leaking from that says, "Shoot me."
Shoot me, please. There's going to be another QT right here, and then that's going to take us right out onto the freeway, I believe.
The freeway's a bit trickier to drive.
Yeah, we do actually take a death in this run. Our previous run, there was no deaths, but some of the, I think we actually take 2 deaths here, maybe, but...
Oh, I counted as 1.5 because... I counted as 1.5 because that second one, as you'll see coming up, we're like, where do we go?
Where do we go? Yeah, the patterns, or I guess the formations of how the vehicles are laid out in this section can be a little bit random. I think that there's probably only a set number of variations, at least that's kind of what I think, just based on doing it a few times. But it definitely can get a little bit hairy as you see me like sort of trying to figure out where we're trying to go. But then I sort of just take this. I try to take that left there, and it's just curtains right there.
Oh yeah. My reaction 1 second before I got hit was, okay, video game, this is how we want to play this. But yeah, I think Cosmic is right. I don't think while completely random card placements, which would destroy runs, I think it is their set variations like 1, 2, and 3 that they just mix up in order, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 3, 2 for card placements. But yeah, it's a bit of a challenge. I mean, like I said, if you're competing for a world record, this won't be a run killer, but it's a very annoying section that shouldn't be annoying. That tends to be more stressful than it is. Yeah. Not for me, to be honest. I'm just watching Cosmic Drive, but for the Jake player, this run.
Fortunately, on keyboard, I think this makes it a little bit easier, just because you get the sharp turns with the WASD as opposed to having to push the stick a little bit farther, so I can get sort of some sharper angles. But it's really, I think, about the only thing that keyboard could probably offer on this section over controller. But yeah, you see us already losing time here as the chopper decides that it wants to knock down a whole lot of cars at us. And then they just
you ever notice all the cars on that truck are the exact same model?
Yep. They definitely did not invest into the rendering for this section.
It'd be funny if that was a Capcom, a Japanese company's like low blow to their Asian rivals in car manufacturing.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe they were just like, you know what? We only need one model. Forget about it.
So anyway, Jake showing off his machismo right here, driving the bike over the helicopter. So this next bit coming up also involves Chris and Piers helping us out. If you play their campaign, you'll be on the roof shooting down at the Javo. But because so the reason why we had the level Javo killer right here is because we have to kill a bunch of enemies super quickly, since this section is kill based. And if we don't have Java killer, this ruins the chance of them possibly spawning insect bits off their stuff. But as you can see here, we got pretty good RNG. We're getting the instant headshot kills on most of the Java. And we want to be using guns often that kill them instantly. I'm using the semi-automatic. I don't know what Cosmic's using.
I pretty much opt for the pistol a lot here, just because I usually have a lot of ammo for it by this point. And I'm trying to conserve ammo for the helicopter, just on the off chance that, up to this point in the run, I haven't gotten a lot of drops for it. The pistol that Jake uses kills these guys quickly enough to, I think, justify sacrificing some of the stronger options like the Bear Commander or the sniper rifle, something like that.
It's also fun to note on that reminder that Jake's not only stronger physically, but his handgun is also stronger than Sherry's as well. Which I always thought was kind of funny. I was mind blown when I saw that.
Yeah, he's definitely got main character privileges.
Oh yeah, so you can see we're down to the last 3-4 enemies here. We're going to try to dispose of them quickly, and unfortunately this last enemy is on the copter for us. Oftentimes you don't want them on the copter, but sometimes it happens, and the copter movement of course is very RNG heavy. We'll want to kill this guy as soon as possible. There we go. This will trigger the first fight of the helicopter boss fight phase.
This part right here, it's sort of like one of those double or nothing sort of scenarios. You can play it a little bit safe, where Jake can opt to send Sherry up to a rooftop as well, so that she can aid him in taking it down. The strategy that we opt for instead in this case, just on the off chance that we got it and saved a lot of time, which unfortunately we didn't in this run, I just head up to the roof as soon as possible without lifting Sherry up with me. And then I just start trying to fire at the helicopter in the hopes that it will drop a rope down that I can then climb onto it with and just take it down immediately.
So this bit, like I said before, Chris and Piers are helping us out, and they have this boss fight much easier because they are on the actual roof of the buildings. And to explain the positioning of this just a little more specifically, there are two. The safe route is for both of us to go to a medium vantage point, where both of us might have the chance of shooting a helicopter, and if we're both able to get the copter in range of that, we can usually take it down pretty quickly. But for this run, we chose the high vantage point where only Jake is able to get. And Sherry, I'm able to help out a little because of the odd positioning of this copter right here. But it's good to know that the copter's movement is super RNG, and it reads as if it's fighting Chris and Piers as well, who are, a gentle reminder, 50 feet above you. So for us, the copter goes very out of bounds sometimes, and more than not, we just have to wait for the copter to make its rounds back.
Yeah, as you can see here, when I'm aiming up on my screen, the copter is either obscured by buildings or these sort of like, you know, ramshackle rafters or whatever they are. Either that or the copter is so far directly above me that I can't actually aim high enough in order to fire at it.
And Jake and Cosmic is at the highest vantage point possible for the Jake Sherry campaign. And the chopper gets into another rare position where I'm able to shoot it, so I shoot as much as I can here. I don't have any grenade rounds, unfortunately, so I unload a couple clips of the Bear Commander into it. You can see it's flaming right now, so it's very close to dying.
That's right, we did get the Bear Commander at the beginning of this chapter, I believe, which is just an assault rifle with a grenade launcher attachment.
A noob tube, as the old COD people would call it.
Oh, that's a throwback right there.
Oh, yeah. Anytime I see a grenade launcher attached to a assault rifle, I always think back to Modern Warfare days.
Yeah.
Of the one-man army. Tubing. You just like fire 2 rounds, one-man army up, reload, shoot 2 more rounds.
If only we could do that to this chopper, man. Like,
well, even then, it wouldn't die because, you know, I can't still freaking see it from anywhere I am. So
true.
During this part, I'm just killing enemies, trying to get them away from Cosmic.
Ideally, I would have already been up on this chopper and been able to, you know, because it'll send, like I said, it'll send a rope down, and then I'll be able to climb up it and then be able to take it down just pretty much immediately. Very risky strat to do, but yeah.
Still a gold split, but I mean, that chapter could be as short as 30. That second phase of the boss fight could be as short as 30 seconds. So yeah, that is the helicopter boss. I think that's the last time we'll see him. This next bit here, 4-3, is, I mean, it's a 10-second bit for us because there's a lot of ammo pickups. I think it's meant for you to be a breather, a little bit of dialogue exposition of them talking about the pros of cons of bioterrorism.
Yeah, that's
and the lucrativeness of it.
Apparently bioterrorism has pros to it.
So this next bit coming up here could be a big time loss. So pretty much what this is, as we described at the beginning, of a lot of split actions where we will be opening gates for each other, dropping ladders down for each other. This is pretty much just another example of this set scenario, except there are 1,000 enemies shooting at us, and lucky for me, I will take double the damage as I wait for Cosmic to open the door. I generally try to wait up here because the enemies will miss more, and there are a lot of them on the ground level. As you can see me taking a lot of damage here. But this next bit is pretty much just self-explanatory. I do my thing, Cosmic does his thing, and we'll help each other.
Yeah, just a whole lot of movement here, and just making sure that we minimize the amount of damage that we take.
This part in solo is so bad. Because the AI often just follows you when in co-op we could efficiently split both ways since we both know where to go. But the AI oftentimes will help you clear enemies, which you don't want to do, and decide not to help you till the very end.
Oh yeah, here we're also going to pick up the shotgun. Pretty useful weapon. You'll see it in a few of the fights, but it's definitely not as powerful as the hand cannon or the sniper when it comes to the sort of medium long range DPS. It's got its uses here, though, like in this fight right here, especially since we were low, and I was especially low on the stronger types of ammo, like the hand cannon and the sniper rifle.
Fun fact, this is the only campaign other than the Ada campaigns where you don't get the shotgun, where you get the shotgun as not the second pickup in the game of all the Resident Evil games. Because in every game you start out with a handgun and then get the shotgun second. Here, it's our last pickup.
Breaking the mold.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they did give us the strongest game super early into the run.
True, true. Is this is Chainsaw, right? Coming up here?
Yeah, if you want to introduce him just a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. So, I guess after Resident Evil 4 introduced Dr. Salvador, every Resident Evil game just wanted to include a chainsaw guy fight.
Dr. Salvador is the potato sack with the chainsaw, for those of you not into the lore.
This guy's just, I guess you would just describe him as fleshy, right? His chainsaw is definitely sort of made of like some bio flesh or whatever, but we're gonna just sort of unload all of our ammo into him. Kamu's gonna set a remote mine down there for a little bit of burst, and then once you're gonna hear a dialogue here where Kamu says, "Now's our chance," and then I just have to go and do this QTE, where Jake just, runs him through with this pipe.
I love the design of him. It's very Doom-esque meets Gears of War with just the raw flesh.
Yeah, it's a very wild design for a chainsaw guy, whereas like the RE4 and RE5 chainsaw guys were just, dudes in their regular everyday clothes with like either a burlap sack or a... So I forget what the RE5 chainsaw guy's wearing around his head.
I think they both wear a sack over their head, right?
The other one's like got wraps. I think it's like a wrap.
Is he?
Yeah. Excuse me.
So coming up here is Usanok 4. And we'll be running into another campaign here. We'll be running into Leon and Helena. Leon, the survivor of Raccoon City. And the main hero of Resident Evil 4, which we just talked about. So this first phase is very self-explanatory. Just unload a bunch of bullets into him until he decides, hey, I'm going to run away. Which triggers the next cutscene.
Helena unfortunately got grabbed here, which I think did prolong the phase a little bit, but it's not too much of an issue.
Because there's no real SRT in this game, we don't know if what we're shooting into him here is actually him being invincible or if we're damaging enough into the next phase. But we just shoot him a little extra to be safe.
And then this next section here, it's pretty much on Kamu and Leon to get the bus to drive into Ustanok, whereas Helena and myself, we just kind of gotta, stay away from him while they just drive the bus into him. I take the opportunity to grab some ammo drops and push a crate of oil barrels down should we need it to do some extra DPS later on.
And once again, I have the harder part of the boss fight. While you're fighting a giant mutant bioweapon, I have to get a defunct bus started in the middle of all this heat.
I
have to press three. I have to press 3 QTs for you.
Well, good thing it wasn't a 4th, otherwise it would have been really hard.
Oh no. Run reset. But so running this bus into the plane triggers a cutscene where the electric tower is seemingly about to fall down. So we will be unloading a couple of bullets into Usanok, but generally at this point, it'll be at his third phase coming up right here.
Yeah, fortunately, a lot of his attacks have a lot of telegraph. Here you can see the reload cancel, or the recoil cancel in action as well. Recoil cancel a lot of shots on there with the shotgun for a lot of DPS.
So when he's running up to the crates, that signals he's going for his third phase, which will be right here. There will be a brief cutscene where he opts to take out his gun arm and goes for the claw arm at this point. But it's just another phase of unload as many bullets as you can into it. And the boss fight will end right here when he takes off, when he's signaling to take off the contraption off his arm. But we do have to unload another bullet into him, just so it triggers the scene. So right here, you see Usanok saying, "Ah, you finally got me." And of course, a multi-ton electrical tower on fire with an explosion lands on him. So you'd think this would be enough to stop any Resident Evil supervillain.
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure. I think he's dead.
Maybe.
I think he's dead.
This is the boat section next, I believe.
So right here, we're breaking open a couple of these boxes. While the drops are client-based, from our experience here, all of it is ammo drops, if not most of them here. Albeit different ammo drops.
Yeah, pretty much always worth it, dude, to get it, especially since there's not really a whole lot of those in the game. Usually it's always skill points mixed with ammo, so getting some barrels that are guaranteed ammo drops is, you know, you always want to take that despite the little bit of time lost there, because the residual time lost later from not having enough ammo could be a lot more devastating.
Do you want to explain this bit up here? It's not a hard part, but it's an attentive part for anyone playing this game.
Yeah, it's really just, I think this is just the, you have to just unload a lot of ammo into the chainsaw guy as well. And you really just have to do some QTEs for the boat. And once we get back on the boat after killing the chainsaw guy again, I have to start the boat back up as Jake and then do some more QTEs. And then we have to fight him once again. You know, unfortunately we are surrounded by a lot of these enemies while we're fighting this guy. I actually get snagged on a lot of them right now, and I'm not able to help Kamu take out the boss.
And this is a really great example, because in the beginning of the run you'll be given a set amount of ammo, but at this point of the run, this is where we really start to realize, we had a good ammo drop RNG, or I have 0 assault rifle bullets, 0 sniper round bullets. And this is where we just have to hope for the best at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely where things start to like get a little bit pinched as far as resources go.
So right here, Jake's trying to start the boat again. What'll happen is the chainsaw guy is not dead, not to anyone's surprise, and maybe we'll have to fight him again. Maybe we won't.
All I know for sure is that I gotta do some more QTEs on this boat.
I was like about to do the quick time event, and then it played the cutscene of him like getting in the water. Just, like,
This is a nice relaxing scenery right here. City on fire. The crashing of the waves. The looming death in the water.
Hold up. And never mind how those...
That butterfly gets randomly hit by the giant steel beam.
Yeah, never mind the I-beams that are just casually swinging by the side. It was really funny to note that one of the mobs that was chasing us just got killed by a cutscene.
I didn't actually expect that to have a hitbox when we first saw that. Again, right here. Fortunately for this fight against the chainsaw, I did have a lot of grenade launcher ammo, so I was just able to load that into there. And I believe Kamo had a lot as well, so it was pretty much all we had at this point in order to take him out, as well as our melee attacks.
Yeah. I'm trying to melee him just to save a lot of these grenade rounds, but I think, despite of how strong grenade rounds are, because we're abusing animation canceling on a lot of our guns, that the other guns aren't as weak as they seem compared to the grenade launcher attachment on the assault rifle.
Definitely. This right here is pretty scripted as well. We just kind of have to wait for the boat to reach the ledge here. And then I don't really got to do anything. I just kind of... I mean, it might look like I have to do something here because the chainsaw...
Wait, Cosmic, why aren't you shooting him for me?
I mean, I don't have to do anything, dude. You know, it's fine. You got this.
Save me.
Don't worry
Save
about
me.
it. Oh, yeah, here we go. Good old Ada Wong.
Spoilers.
Here to save us. I thought she was the enemy. Didn't her people really care? Okay, we're just going to move on. So...
I'm kind of salty that Cosmic didn't save me from the chainsaw guy.
You had it, man. I believed in you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, then we get captured again. Spoilers.
For people who are really strong and somewhat superhuman. These two get knocked out really easily. We ran out of ammo. We had a lot less ammo this time. So this last bit here is the last time we were able to buy any skill points.
I'm actually just. I believe I opt for critical hit here, and then maybe rock steady. And critical hit obviously just gives me higher chance for crit, and then rock steady makes it so that it's my aim has a lot less shake to it. Every gun has sort of like the aim sort of like waves around a little bit.
So speaking of throwbacks that Resident Evil 6 presents, this next bit will be in an underground water facility, somewhere a couple miles off the shores of China. And right here we'll be introduced to another very familiar alternate version of a enemy we've fought before. When's your next flip?
The regenerator.
I'll introduce them when we see them.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'll introduce them when we see them, Cosmic.
It's fine. We can just... Okay. Forget about that. We'll come back to it. Here, I'm going to lift Kamu up to this air vent because apparently Sherry is the only one that can, you know, fit in the air vent. Jay couldn't just jump up there by himself and do it.
Hey, boss, you think we should design an escape vent for a human to fit through in the interrogation chamber? Yeah, perhaps. Sure. I don't see what the downside could that be.
Yeah, no problem. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Hey, boss, I don't think it's such a good idea. Hey, come on now. Just put that human-sized air vent where they can escape out of in the interrogation chamber. So here we go. This is the Resident Evil 6 variation of Regenerator. It is slightly... I want to say it's much less intimidating, whether it's the environment that makes it less intimidating. It's much weaker than the Resident Evil 4 Regenerator, but it is a lot more annoying. Because as you will see, despite us shooting it and actually killing it to open the door and enable the next section of this bit, the Regenerator cannot die. It is split into 2 bits. And the top half will crawl after you, and the bottom half will run after you. As you can see from my cutscene, it is slithering towards us.
The hand, it also can come off as a separate entity, and it will, like, leap at you and stuff. It's pretty funny.
So this next bit, if you know the routing of this, it should not be a run killer, but Cosmic, if you just kind of want to explain the smaller intricacies of this next bit coming up.
Yeah, so once we activate the couple of co-op QTs here, like co-op events, there are several, how should I put this? Several doors, I guess, that we need to pass through while being on these moving elevators. And the elevators sort of rotate around to certain doors, and we have to make sure that we get out on, you know, every possible door that we can to activate these levers in order to power the elevator that we can take to go to the next part of the area, to the next chapter. And the interesting thing here is that the first couple of doors, Kamo and I are going to get to them both together. The second part of this whole event, we actually split off from each other. And I have to go to a separate area and wait for a second elevator to come down to me so that I can then go up and take a separate path from Kamu in order to wrap back around and hit a lever that's on the other side of the room. It's a very interestingly laid out area, I will say, because there's a electric fence that separates 2 of the switches from each other.
The final switch, yes. And it's important that we want to make the first cycle the earliest cycle whenever the elevator gets to our door right here. We've experimented, we ran through it. I don't think we can get on this elevator instantly. So we have to wait here for the elevator to come in. Unfortunately, I get grabbed. But fortunately, Cosmic is really good at this game. So he saves me just in time for us to get on the cycle.
You flatter me.
Mm-hmm. So the part of this run that makes this hard for speedrunning and casually is the Regenerator invincibility and random spawn. So I'm fighting a Regenerator right now, but oftentimes he'll not be there and maybe be somewhere else. And pretty much Regenerators will swing at you, grab you, and you need to be doing co-op actions at the same time, and you want to be getting to your respective switches at the same time. So as not only to, you know, speedrun the game, but if we both get to the switches at the same time, we'll both have iframes where the regenerators that are inevitably behind us won't be able to grab us. And that's why solo running this bit is so AI contingent, because the AI oftentimes is actually fighting the regenerators, if not walking into the electric fence trying to help you.
Okay, so here, this is where I actually have to get off at stop D, and then I have to wait for another elevator to come down. And that's going to actually take me up to stop G, or door G, which is going to allow me to wrap back around to where Kamu is eventually headed to.
Which is kind of funny, but you could have just hopped off at that elevator with me.
That's true. I could have.
But yeah, we're going to be waiting here for a second cycle of elevators that is coming above us.
I think I probably could just grab the skill points that's in there now that I think about it.
We could test out the cycles, but I think they just added the split there to throw you off because you don't have to forcibly go there, but you know, for a casual playthrough, people will be like, "Oh, where am I going?"
Yeah. So
And
here we
then-
go. Stop G.
Even just watching this replay, I thought to myself, "Wow, I don't remember Cosmic missing the stop," but then I realized, "Oh yeah, he's not at the same stop as me."
Yep. But here we go. Then we gotta pull this lever, and then I'm gonna actually put down a remote mine, which is going to one-shot the regenerator for this bit, and it's gonna make him, you know, fall down on a lever, which we could kill him anywhere. And we could kill him forever away from this lever, and the cutscene would still show him falling down at this bit. So here he goes.
If only we had realistic games.
If only. That's what the art engine's for, I guess.
So pretty much the regenerator dying there puts the whole system on overdrive because, you know, they have no OSHA or fail-safes in this facility. And what happens here is that we're going to need to escape from this facility before it collapses. There's conveniently a giant crane there for us and a switch to control it. So at this point of the run, we will be continuously doing things together. I believe that was the last split of the game, in fact, minus the ending. But here you can see we're going to be using the crane to stop the overcharged elevator lift, which conveniently lands perfectly for us.
Nice. This regenerator here is sort of like, you don't really have to fight him just because the elevator will continually send you into a stun state. But it does, you know, it's pretty much free skill points if you got the extra ammo to spare for it. Or I think he does drop ammo sometimes too, which he did drop shotgun shells there for me. I was pretty thankful for that.
Oh my god. Sniper bullets and shotgun rounds.
Nice. I got some skill points in shotgun rounds.
This second regenerator may or may not be there. I was super surprised that he actually made it there, but this part is scripted. We just shoot him just for the sake of skill points and or ammo. But once we get the second level down, the cutscene will activate where we actually have to do a couple of QTs to crawl out of here before this bit inevitably crushes us.
I think, if anything, that's like, this part right here is just so like intense the first time you go through it, because it's just like whole place is crashing down. You got to crawl to the end. The regenerator's behind you. Everything's going crazy.
And but us, when we're speedrunning, both of us are saying, "All right, I'm gonna get to the end faster than you by mashing." For him, it's the spacebar. For me, it's the A button. I like running this game on a controller. And from my point of view, I think I'm winning, but that could be
Definitely.
client side.
I think it might be
Cosmic.
client side, because there is go ahead.
Oh, that's the excuse I always hear from people who get their second place Cosmic.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, you might have won the battle, but I'll win the war. Don't worry about it.
I'll swap you your double HP and double defensive stats.
Oh yeah, we run into Chris and Piers at this point. They were sent here to save us, because even though Jake has the antibodies, we find out that Jake is actually Albert Wesker's son, who is Chris Redfield's arch nemesis.
No.
You know, he did kind of fire 2 rocket launchers at him in a volcano, so like that's kind of over and done with. But yeah, so after after they have it out for each other and sort of stare each other down and argue and everything, we have to activate these elevators, and we have to wait on the AI to do that as well. This whole bit here is timed, so sort of we just kind of have to not really use a whole lot of ammo, but definitely take out the snipers where we can, because otherwise, some of them wield rocket launchers as well. We definitely want to take those out as soon as possible. But the enemies that drop down directly onto our elevator, we want to try and take them out with as little ammo as possible so that we can stock up for the final fight.
I think this run specifically, we opted not to shoot the guys with rocket launchers and sniper rifles because we were so low on ammo, and we wanted to test to see if, do we actually have to kill them? But as you'll see coming up, I'll get it.
Definitely did, yeah.
You know what's kind of funny leading up to this bit, how Jake and Chris are arguing. They have this weird Mexican standoff. They both say, you know what, the world is at stake right now. There are things bigger than us. But I was like, yeah, but you took like the last 10 minutes looking each other in the eye, saying how much you hate each other, threatening to kill each other. It's just a funny little bit.
It is very fortunate that Jake doesn't take a whole lot of damage, because in the event that Kamu goes down, I had like 15 or 16 heals left over, so I am able to pump a lot of healing into Kamu if he does happen to go down more than we'd like. So there is that sort of like nice offset in the terms of like health pools and everything. Obviously, it's not really what you want ideally in a run, but it is there. It is something that you can just remember. Like the Jake player can definitely stock up on heals and won't really need to use them a whole lot as long as you're efficient with how you killing things. And
how many heals do you have at this point?
I had like 16 or 17. That's why I was able to dump a lot into both of your revives in this run, especially with auto mixing. And auto mixing, as in any Resident Evil game, combining red and green herbs is the most efficient way to get heals out. And if you just hit like H in this game on keyboard, or if you do reload plus the heal button, it will auto mix all the herbs that you have in your inventory in the most efficient manner possible. So that's what I typically use when I get a red herb and a green herb, is I'll auto mix everything, and that dumps it into the little tablets that all the characters heal with.
And you want to be mixing herbs if you're not doing it automatically. You want to be mixing herbs during sections where you'll be either climbing a ladder or be in mid animation where there's no impact on the game. But this section coming up is a giant room with a bunch of boxes that are all guaranteed ammo drops. We take the time to actually pick up the ammo because, at least for me, I'm a bit low. But usually a room with a lot of ammo drop indicates something. I personally don't know what it could indicate.
Yeah, I don't know either, dude. Got me.
Mm-hmm. And it's not like we have anything chasing us throughout the entire...
Oh,
yeah.
Wait a minute, yeah. Hey, Ustanak, how's it going, buddy?
So this first phase of the quote boss fight is very routine. It's a set path that we have to escape to. We're going to have to push this upcoming box here out of the way to trigger the second phase of the fight. Right here, you can just see us. If you get hit here, I do believe it's a one-hit kill as you are knocked into the lava.
Yikes.
And starting from the second phase into the final phase, we will be unloading everything we have left to do, because this is the last boss of the game. And I do believe if you get here multiple times in succession, you can get knocked into the lava. And that'll be a kill, but... And now we're on the third phase. Right there, you can see me abusing the ammo swapping on the shotgun. I'll show it one more time right here. I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, here you can definitely hear the recoil cancels coming out from both players as well. That's probably one of my favorite things like in this game to do, is the recoil cancels. Just so much damage, just so quickly.
And we've done enough. Once you've done enough damage to him in his third phase right here, you're going to do a quick time event that involves him pulling off the sling off his arm. But unfortunately, we lose all our guns. Jake's left alone on a single rectangular platform with him. And what could happen?
Well, he is the son of Albert Wesker. So, he's going to take him to Duff City. Jake, the manliest man of Resident Evil 6, is going to just take this upgraded Tyrant to the cleaners with his bare hands.
This is the I think this is the manliest scene of all the Resident Evils combined. And meanwhile, what I'm doing is I'm just watching from the sideline, cheering Jake on emotionally. Well, actually, what I'm doing is launching a card into him. You won't be able to see it through Cosmic Stream, but through my cutscene, you could see a crate hit him on the head. This will stun Usanok enough for Cosmic to just get a couple of free hits on him. And in this lowest difficulty, I think you only need one crate to hit him, and then Cosmic will activate the beatdown.
The 100 crack fists of the North Star, man.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, this is the evolution of the ultimate bioweapon, by the way.
And Jake just took him out. He just gave him a nice haymaker.
Yeah, he fell into the lava, you know, but if anyone's seen Terminator, any of the other Resident Evils, you know we're going to probably find it one more time.
But this is the good old Capcom escape sequence here. You know, the game can't just end on one of the manliest moments ever in the franchise. We gotta go through the escape sequence.
You know, I noticed they love using service elevators from underground facilities. I'm just thinking about it right now.
I mean, yeah, even in DMC1, you're technically taking a service elevator to the underworld. So.
And this is when our graphic cards start saying, "What's going on up there?" And our screens start yelling in pain as it becomes very
graphically
very
intensive. Yeah. Ooh, man, that's bright.
This is the final Usanok, which is the second hardest Usanok fight because for me, I have to press left trigger and then right trigger, and the left trigger and the right trigger without messing up. I don't know what you have to press.
I have to do the left click and the right click.
Don't you want to sometimes do double left click or double right click and realize, oh snap, I'm gonna die to Usanok?
No, I just pay attention to the arm that's extended. So I'll just mash left, then mash right, then mash left, then mash right.
Yeah, so all jokes aside, this part is relatively easy. We just want to spam our two buttons to climb up to each checkpoint as fast as possible. We're going to get up to the second bit where we're going to launch a bunch of cylinder pipes at him. And there will be one more phase after this.
Yep, one more here. These QTs. Just going to try and send another pipe at him, which he's going to try and resist. And so
Joke's on him. We got 5 more pipes to launch at him.
And talk about a pipe cleaner.
Oh, I am taking application for you co-op partner.
One more climb here. One more
climb here. Well, I would say it's half a climb because Usanok's going to say, wait a minute, I could have just leapt up this entire time. But he overshoots us and says, oh crap. But through the midst of everything happening, wow, a convenient magnum falls into place, huh?
So convenient. Action movie convenient, really.
And a fun fact, throughout the entirety of this run, they never reference that gun as the Magnum. They call it the Elephant Killer, but in that objectives, they'll say grab the Magnum.
And that is the final QTE right there, where both players shoot the Magnum and kill Usanok, and that's it. That is Resident Evil 6, new game co-op amateur for the Jake campaign. Once again, my name is DE Cosmic.
And I am Avukamu. You got any shoutouts really quickly?
No, that's it. I just really want to take whoever is watching this. I want to thank whoever is watching this. Thank you for your time. Hope you enjoy the run, and we hope to see you at SGDQ.
Yeah, shout out to Reap and Runs.
Peace.
The legend. Peace.
Actually.